Hey friends, how's it going? The movie opens on New Year's Eve, 1975 at the Dante Hotel. A young boy stands in the middle of a massacre, surrounded by bodies, including his parents. He tries to wake them, but it's no use. He picks up his father's pocket watch, just as the sound of approaching sirens grows louder. A police officer tells him to drop the axe he's holding. The boy, overwhelmed, repeats, "It isn't their time," as the camera lingers on the watch, setting up the theme of time. The story jumps to present-day New Year's Eve. A news anchor is heard reporting the disappearance of 12 people from a party. But this isn't a live broadcast. It's an old recording from 1975 being watched by a man. That man is Daniel Breyer, the boy from the opening scene who had reported his parents missing. Oddly, every 12 years since that night, a similar incident occurs, and Daniel is questioned again. It seems something strange keeps repeating itself, always on the same date. We're then introduced to Goldie, a lively and determined woman who's sharing her past struggles with substance abuse at a support group. She talks about waking up in a hospital after nearly losing her life, and how she's been in recovery ever since. Now she's organizing a New Year's event at the Dante Hotel, focusing on the work, not the drinks. Her group applauds her progress. At the hotel, Goldie assures her boss, Amit, that everything is under control. She runs into a man, Daniel, who's carrying the same old pocket watch. He tells her about a 12-year cycle and something called Judgment Night, leaving her confused. After a tense exchange with Amit, Daniel warns Goldie to leave before midnight. Amit explains that Daniel lives on the 12th floor due to an incident in the past, but insists he's harmless. Later on the rooftop, a man encounters a figure dressed as the Grim Reaper. After taking a ticket from him, the man is suddenly pushed off the edge. He falls to his death. Goldie is questioned by Detective Rachel, who is investigating the incident. Amit claims the man, Christoph, must have fallen accidentally, and that only the two of them had access to the rooftop. But Rachel isn't so sure and asks to review the security footage. She also questions whether Christoph had any issues with coworkers. Amit mentions Daniel. Rachel later finds Daniel waiting by an elevator. He doesn't say much, but confirms he doesn't have a key to the roof. At the police station, Rachel reviews the rooftop footage. There's a glitch right when Christoph falls, just enough to raise suspicion. She believes the footage was tampered with and shares it with her boss, Detective Hector. Hector reveals that his own father investigated Daniel decades ago, but the case was never solved. Now, it's Hector facing the same man and the same mystery. Daniel maintains he's innocent, and with no evidence, they have to let him go. Hector warns Rachel not to get too involved, but she's concerned about Daniel's strange behavior and ominous warnings. She believes something isn't right and gives Hector a flash drive with the footage. He reviews it but doesn't notice anything unusual, dismissing her concerns. Back at the hotel, Goldie is told she's running behind schedule. She explains that a chef quit after the Christoph incident, but a replacement was found. Emmett, her colleague, compliments her on how the place looks. Meanwhile, Rachel discovers something disturbing. Christoph's body is missing from all nearby morgues. The party at the hotel kicks off. Goldie greets the guests, dressed for the occasion. Daniel's distant presence stands out against the festive atmosphere. At one point, he interrupts a couple and urges them to leave. Goldie reminds him he's not a guest and warns she'll call the police. He leaves, saying only, "Tonight is the night." Elsewhere, two intruders, Chloe and Ronnie, sneak into the party dressed as kitchen staff. They're approached by the Grim Reaper, who hands them tickets and leads them to a room behind a red curtain. Inside, the room looks expensive, but something feels off. Chloe senses danger, but Ronnie brushes it off. Then the Grim Reaper appears again. As they try to escape, he attacks Ronnie with a scythe. An hourglass he carries shows that time is up. Chloe runs out, screaming. Guests, including Goldie, see her and assume she's drunk. Chloe tries to escape the building, but spots the Reaper waiting outside. She can't get through the fence. Moments later, she's gone. When a hotel worker passes by, there's no trace of her. The hotel sign quietly changes to read, Dante. Back inside, Daniel pins photos of Chloe and Ronnie on a wall in his room. He watches the party through surveillance cameras. But he's not the only one watching. The Reaper is too. Goldie soon stumbles across Ronnie's body and runs in panic, just as Daniel had warned her. Meanwhile, A detective watches old footage of young Daniel discussing a mysterious figure who was responsible for his parents' deaths. Rachel soon gets a call from Goldie, claiming she might have information about Kristoff. But as Rachel arrives at the hotel, something strange happens. She's approached by the Grim Reaper, who silently offers her a ticket. Curious but cautious, Rachel accepts. She and Goldie then enter a strange room, one neither of them had noticed before. The body Goldie previously saw is now missing. Rachel finds it unsettling. The room is huge, yet completely unoccupied. Goldie admits she hadn't even known the room existed until recently. That's when Rachel shares something important. This hotel was the site of Daniel's parents' disappearance nearly 5 decades ago. Rachel questions why anyone would choose to live in a place with such a dark past. Goldie, clearly shaken, wants to shut the party down. But Rachel insists they need to confront Daniel first without alerting the crowd. She also asks about the Grim Reaper figure. Goldie denies inviting him, or even knowing who he is. Later, Rachel knocks on Daniel's door. He opens it, calm but guarded. Rachel accuses him of being behind the string of disappearances and promises to find the truth. Daniel scoffs at the accusation. He reminds her that the FBI couldn't pin anything on him when he was just 12. When Rachel tries to arrest him, Daniel resists and takes off, starting a tense chase through the hotel. Back at the party, the Grim Reaper hands 2 tickets to a couple and quietly sends them to a specific room. On the way, the girl reads her ticket, which contains a cryptic message about controlling time. The couple heads upstairs to play pool, but their fun is short-lived. The Grim Reaper suddenly appears. Before they can react, the guy drops dead. The girl panics. The elevator opens, revealing the Reaper again. She pleads, saying she did nothing wrong, then leaps to a lower floor to escape. But it's no use. The Reaper's scythe finds her. She's fatally wounded. Goldie and Rachel discover Daniel standing beside the girl's body. Rachel presses him for answers. He claims he had nothing to do with it and says something strange. The girl wasn't supposed to be there when the elevator came. Suddenly, the lights cut out. When they flicker back on, Daniel and the girl's body are gone. A nearby door creaks open, revealing a mysterious elevator. Inside stands the same girl, just like the guy before her. Daniel appears elsewhere as Goldie and Rachel rush to Amit's room. Rachel kicks the door in, only to find blood inside. Meanwhile, a family of 3 receives tickets from the Grim Reaper and heads to the pool. The daughter and father swim, but then something feels off. The water shifts. The lights flicker. Something moves beneath the surface. Daniel, now holding an axe, startles the mother. Watching through the hotel's cameras, Goldie fears for the family. Daniel tells her they accepted the tickets willingly. The mother begs him to spare her daughter. Daniel tells them to move to the deeper end of the pool. But then, something drags the father under. Another figure grabs the mother. Daniel tries to save her, but both vanish, only to reappear moments later, changed. They're no longer human. He tells the girl the truth. Those aren't her parents anymore. But she doesn't listen. She runs toward them anyway. Rachel and Goldie arrive just in time to see the father take a tragic action that ends his daughter's life. The Grim Reaper joins them in the eerie elevator. Rachel, still unsure of Daniel's role, questions him again. He denies working with the Reaper. Rachel isn't convinced. She handcuffs him and tries to call for help, but her phone has no signal. Daniel says no one's coming. They're on their own, in what he calls Father Time's hotel. He leads them to his room and asks Rachel to loosen the cuffs. She agrees, just enough to bring his hands forward. Then, Daniel opens a hidden panel in his closet, revealing a surveillance room. He explains he only watches public areas. On the screens, they spot something strange, an elevator that vanishes from view. Goldie notices photos on the wall, all missing people. She accuses him of being involved. Daniel shakes his head. They aren't his victims. A flashback reveals the truth. Daniel, as a boy, watched the Grim Reaper murder his parents. Years later, at 18, he moved into the hotel, refusing to believe they'd left him behind. At 24, he tried to fight back. He attacked the Reaper with an axe, but it didn't work. Daniel realizes something chilling. You can't kill what was never alive. The Grim Reaper. Father Time, they're the same ancient entity, just known by different names. Rachel tries to arrest him, but Daniel explains that this being has always collected souls, and now it's using the hotel as a gateway to hell. He believes the creature's power lies in its scythe and suggests they find the altar where souls are taken and steal the blade. The plan? Trap the Reaper in a portal and destroy it, even if it costs lives. Daniel warns that anyone inside the hotel on New Year's Eve could be a target, so the party must be stopped. Meanwhile, the guests are partying. A couple, Emily and her boyfriend Paul, enjoy the night, unaware of the danger. Goldie tries to shut it down after an incident, but her boss ignores her. The party continues. Rachel tells Amit about the deaths and the blood in his office, but he doesn't believe her. Then she gets a call from Hector, who tries to pull her off the case. She ignores him. She's not backing down. Suddenly, Daniel sees the creature heading to an elevator. He and Rachel follow it, but as the doors close, Rachel gets trapped and is gruesomely cut in half. Elsewhere, Father Time hands Emily and Paul a mysterious ticket and points to a special room. Daniel and Goldie notice something strange. There are two Emilys. One, Emily enters a luxurious room, tries on a necklace, and sees Father Time behind her. The other walks into the kitchen, invisible to everyone but Paul. The other Emily looks in the mirror and sees herself old. She begs Father Time to stop it, but he simply says, "Time can't be stopped." Her hand turns to sand, and she crumbles. Goldie arrives too late to help. Meanwhile, the other Emily leads Paul into a dark storage room. She collapses, then wakes up with a demonic voice and chases him. She pounces, killing him on the spot. Daniel and Goldie later discover a photo of a private plane. The hotel owners have ties to other haunted places. Goldie wonders if there's more than one Father Time. Daniel believes this explains the hotel's 12-year death cycle. They find a box of explosives and black sand, the kind inside Father Time's hourglass. Daniel plans to use it, even if it means casualties. Goldie wants to save lives, but Daniel is focused on ending this for good. Goldie follows Father Time into a special room. He offers her a drink that turns into an hourglass and tempts her. Want to relive your lost years? Just as Father Time offers Goldie the VIP ticket, Daniel bursts in right on time. Father Time invites Goldie into the elevator. Daniel steps in too, eyes locked on her. "Did you take the ticket?" he asks. Goldie hesitates. But no, she never accepted it. That's all Daniel needs. He exposes the truth. Father Time can only rewind the clock by an hour. The years already lost, they're gone for good. It's all a scam. Since Goldie never accepted the ticket, he slams the emergency stop, yanks Goldie out, and the doors close behind him as he descends with Father Time. Below, in the shadows, Daniel discovers a chilling scene, souls shackled to the walls, waiting to be harvested. And then, he sees him, Emmett. But he's changed, twisted, reborn. Emmett is now the new face of Father Time. He tells Daniel that Goldie is the final soul needed to open the gates of hell. If Daniel interferes, the world could burn. As the New Year countdown begins upstairs, Goldie is running out of time. Father Time urges her to fulfill her destiny. Daniel, meanwhile, sees his deceased parents and shares a moment with his dad before facing what's next. Midnight strikes. Father Time reveals himself to be Emmett. The gates to hell burst open, and supernatural beings invade the party. Emmett grabs Goldie, but she refuses to give in. Daniel confronts him and exposes a loophole. Since Goldie never accepted the ticket, he has no right to take her. Daniel steals the scythe and ticket, and Goldie escapes. Then Daniel tackles Emmett into the gate and lights the dynamite filled with black sand. Boom, everything resets. Goldie wakes up at the party. Everyone's alive. The night has restarted. Daniel's plan worked. He turned back time. As Goldie leaves the hotel, she looks up. The sign now reads, Dantano. She quietly says, "Happy New Year." The screen fades to black. So, what did you think about the story? Let us know in the comments.